Good morning, Ambazonia. Welcome to my daily podcast. Today, na number 3 day for the month for September 2021. My name na Capo Daniel, Sense Pass King, the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonia Defense Forces. Today, I will take an exception for get a special edition of my podcast where it will be geared for respond to feedback of some comrades who have responded to my last podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The following feedback I get regularly from some of our patriots who help me to do polling and who also engage in other platforms where I do not participate, and they bring these messages back to me. So I'm going to go straight to the presentation and to respond to this particular one. Listen.
Let me ask you that question. Was Ayabacho under Akwanga?
So the person they ask him whether Ayabacho be under Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga. Yes, Dr. Ayabacho be a secretary for the Youth League, the SCYL, where he be come out after the creation of the SCNC. They be create that one. It always be seen as a youth wing for the SCNC, but actually be a separate organization. The organization be one transform itself because be very effective to accomplish its goals them, and they be decide to create the AGC. During the creation of the AGC, Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga he be stand for the election for become the president of the Ambazonia Governing Council. Ayabacho also he be stand for the election because Akwanga he be one stand for election ye one. Tanwa Ayabacho stand for election. Akwanga decide for Ronnie. He left the creation of the AGC, then vote Ayabacho like president. Since that time, Akwanga he don't get bad belly with Ayabacho. Now why that way the vex? Even the time we meet up Akwanga for where we come for conference, we invite Ayabacho, if he come here attend for China. Akwanga be tell we say Ayabacho na politician. Ayabacho be talk say the OMPO be important. Now Ayabacho don't go join OMPO. Ayabacho the worker recruit people them. He and the woman they don't take oath. Say they no go ever support Ayabacho. Matinda wa Akwanga be tell me. So it be unfortunate say they think that way. It's just a wrong way to think. It is not logical, it is not reasonable, it is not rational. I feel say because Ayabacho be under he don't become the president of the new organization, the Ambazonian Governing Council. When they be create him, it vex he, shake away, it be one of the weakness of all these events, and a lot of people that don't talk about exactly which way happen. Ayabacho need work and recruit people. When you be effective, you attract talent. I be know Akwanga personally, but time way this struggle if we start, I be instead you want support Akwanga, but be effective. I be the only see Ayabacho be do the right thing, get the right decisions, and then I be attracted for go for your organization. That way they be make me the offer. As a matter of fact, I be reluctant for work with Ayabacho because I be always the look other option. But at the end of the day, I be say na be effective, so I join them. May we continue for the question, I think more pertinent one than they.
Excuse me, Capo, a podcast. I just get one small thing for chipping. Even though it start with a podcast for discredit or downgrade Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians, say now the intellectuals that they listen to a podcast, people way they don't want to listen now the illiterates them. Well, I think say even the dull or the ignorant, they to get their own story to say.
I just want to make them very clear. I not be ever talk say Ambazonian the way they need to listen for my podcast na foolish one them. I be simply talk say the people the way they listen for my podcast and where they follow my program. Now mostly the influential them. And I don't always focus on the influential and the 5% of Ambazonian the way they be more critical for our revolution and for shape the opinion and policy them for the various institutions, the way that they govern our people, their revolution for independence. So, now fact, if you look, the people, the way they follow me, or the people, the way they be loyal to me and they listen to my podcast, now always the most intelligent people, them. You know, mean say the other one, them not be intelligent. I say the most intelligent people that they listen for Capo Daniel. Because I be a critical thinker. I give critical analysis. I think out of the box. I see things them before it won't happen. Go looking for this struggle for all the warnings that were around here. People, they don't always be very shocked. The first time I become out as the major activist for talk say Sako be the embezzle money, people they once told me. But today the same people they talk say Sako na kill and a murderer, they talk, it don't come up from one thing go to another. All warnings they were around here. Tawe Sako become lie say the United Nations now invite Ambazonia. Now me I become talk saying a lie. And it will be very important. The time talk people, they will say, no, you cannot say he is lying. You don't say, how do you know? But it will be clear because even for the, we don't need to do small research. The UN office will be the talk, need to invite people them. It be apply for go for day like an NGO, for go talk about something else. Some person go talk, say, if you go twist the talk. Actually, for that organization, for that UN, then specify for this, say you need to submit your speech before time. And you know if you speak out of that your speech. So it will be a prank. When I be talk those things, them for some people, them it will be too shock for a year. Say person go challenge their leader. It will be shock for some people, them for even year. Say person go investigate or even inquire about which way a leader talk. But if we want a free society and a democratic society, those are just natural things that people do in free society. So we must not demand one thing and expect another.
Now, if we go further, I want point out this small thing for Lukon. We know, say, ADF and Ayaba, the AGOF C, they are forced to reckon with. We are not refusing. We agree. You don't shortlist or enumerate your effort, which we will not do from the beginning of this revolution. Talk about when Milan them and Siseko they formed this thing. The number one, this force argument of force. But now when I come in with argument of force, now when I launch, but we still want to argue a bit, say, differ a bit, say, there was no ample preparation. There was insufficient preparation or limited preparation on that area of arms because we were taken unaware. You know, most people don't be aware of which way, and we not even get the materials, we not even get the support. We not okay for thank God, say, Ambazonians, they don't really be fed up with the system and they wanted to go. Because it would be very difficult because before you venture into such a move, you don't do a lot of groundwork preparation. Yes, on the other side, you muster a lot of courage. I mean, your team for stage that.
To this reaction, Ambazonian people, they need to know, say, you don't go to war with the army you wish to have. No country, including America, will never have their dream army. You go to war with what you have in your hand. If the whole Ambazonia and the leadership of Skakuf before behind the vision of Dr. Cho, we could have won La Republique. With the popular uprising, the ADF Bida already put a ground game. Sheikh Kavi Wemeleng Bida already did for ground zero for more than 3 months for prepare the ground. They were ready. General Mba Ivor was ready. General Ifang was ready. All the four, including Grandpa Bali, where they be there for ADF. At that point, all those people they did with those training camp, Benjis and all those people, they were ready. All those Cameroon military bases around our villages could have fallen. They could have dropped their weapons to our boys if we could have buy this vision. The public mindset was in the hands of Ayok Tabi. It was Ayok Tabi's decision or vision or wisdom to make that call to say, let us work with this man, Ayabacho and Akwanga at that time to implement the military takeover. Instead, they called soldiers who were already in training camp from these people. They didn't go with their leadership, give them money and said that they should go and buy Odeshi. The stories are out there. Ambazonia was prepared. You could say that Ayabacho was wrong because also he was saying that it was not the right time for Siseko to declare independence because they still needed more preparation. But Siseko also, Ayabacho have, in my interview before I joined the ADF, he acknowledged that Siseko was right to do it even though he opposed it, so he's flexible to admit his shortcoming. On the other side, Siseko declared the independence not based on his own calculation. He was using the roadmap provided by Maurice of Bohebert. That roadmap itself needed Bohebert and the rest of the people to go and make the declaration in Boya. So they are all shortcomings, but God has his ways. We must always learn from the past, move forward, and draw lessons. You cannot ignore the things you missed in the past. You can't, and then you will not be effective. For instance, when Ebenezer Akwanga came we invited him to South China, in Shenzhen, for the convention in China. I was there. Bobby, the father of the nation, was there. Many of us were there. Akwanga sold us the vision in the perfect way possible. I was the main activist and the main person that guided public opinion in China and Southeast Asia at that moment. I challenged him and he put the case that we can win La Republic even if we start with 3 AK. It was a perfect case. After that case, what happened? Nalova B, Atta Milan, the secretariat of Skakuf, they call us and they start to blackmail Akwanga. They say that man is a scammer. He comes here, gather money from people. They even say one person have given him was pledging to give him $40,000 US. They are so lucky that they did not give him that money. And I call all the people in our group there in China and I tell them, we cannot give this man this money. We cannot. Let's just give him his transport and give him some more money. Akwanga left that place empty-handed. The money that we were supposed to give him, we later on sent a small portion. So the people that were manipulating the vision of Ayabacho and Akwanga for self-defense, because they have already had the experience of dealing with La Republic, making petition, making a government. So they already have those experience and they could predict what will happen in the future and they know our strength and our weakness. But because you have some politicians, I'm not one of those people who think that Milan was working for La Republic at that moment. So I'm looking at things from a neutral position. I don't have any evidence to that effect. But I'm just saying it because a lot of people think that you say things against people just because you think that they are working for La Republic. No. I just think that his mindset he's a politician, La Republic politician. He have that mindset of SDF type of people. So that is the type of blackmail he has been doing in this revolution. He called people at the back and blackmail people. So that is what happened, and that is why the Ayok Tabi did not embrace self-defense. They were discussing with him. He was discussing with Ayabacho. He likes it. He had bought the vision. But when he gets back to his team, Atta Milan, who was his top lieutenant, would just quench everything. That is how we missed that component in the beginning. It could have catch fire from the beginning. La Republic could have run away. It came to the extent where Ayok Tabi even apologized for self-defense action carried out by the ADF. He apologized. He put it on a written paper and sent it to La Republic because they wanted to conserve the leadership. It was in their hand. It was the same decision to create the government. They were also afraid that Bohebert would run ahead and make an election. So they had really to make it so that it should be proper. It was all politics for them. Maybe their own calculation was that they would beat La Republic by just being popular and making all those arguments. Maybe they were still going through the process, but they failed to accept to take the mantle from those who have been walking that road before them. These are facts. If nobody feels comfortable with it, I will always put it the way it is. No Connie.
And as you say, a lot of people, even those with a platform, they will support that action. They will there for your back. They will there with you. ADF will get a lot of support, a lot of steam. People will there with you before that.
I want to say that any support that ADF had was undercut. I was a strong supporter of the Skakuf at that moment. When ADF launched a bomb attack in Bamenda, targeting the B station that was just established in the Congress Hall, I came out and said that this is terrorism. I said that this is terrorism is bad. Because in my mind, this is going to provoke La Republique. I was still operating in that naivety because most of us have been fighting for change through SDF, fighting for change by exposing corruption. I was one of the first activists that started to expose videos of Cameroon military policemen receiving money on the street. So we were all still thinking we were still in that mindset. So you cannot say that ADF had support. They did not really have support in the beginning of this struggle. I used to look at the people who support Ayabacho and all these people like crazy people. That's how I was looking at them, because they were believing in AK and all those stuff that we were thinking it was not possible, because Cameroon was invincible, their military in our eyes by then.
I will question Siseko. The reason why he left that gap, vice president, empty. I thought that was for Mr. Dr. Ayaba. Me.
The vice president of the IG, when it was created, was not left vacant. The Siseko had appointed Honorable Weber. Honorable Weber was the XXX. He was the vice president. It was not made public because he did not want it to be made public. That is where our people have to see what is killing us. Is all people have politics in their belly. Honorable Weber came out after Siseko have been put in prison. He did not come out to stand up and actually acknowledge that he was the XXX. But he came out and trashed idea and tell how it was the worst mistake. I have never known his reason of doing those things. But that is the dishonesty we have. I don't know, maybe it was because he was not made the head, or he was thinking people will come and beg him where he is to take over the mantle. Whatever the case. Or maybe they were, I don't really know. You don't know everything, but you have to just say the things that we know. Is that it was disappointing to listen to Honorable Weber when he came to Britain. Despite all the courage we know he have shown. He have done wonderful things in this revolution that nobody can compare. But he have his own flaws. This their generation. When Honorable Weber was in Ground Zero, we used to call him talking about the need to make press conference and make research to help the struggle and all those things. He will ask for us money to do that. He said money, need money to pay journalists. We bought him money. We gave him money even for speaker. And I was asking, but is this thing normal? Is this man not supposed to be taking salary as a parliamentarian, and he has not even resigned? We are talking for people to resign. He has not resigned. Our biggest problem is that of this reluctance, of this lack of belief in the ingenuity of our own people without big names. Who is Ayabacho? He's just somebody who was a secretary of Akwanga. I know him also. We face other challenges. There are people who know me in this struggle and have seen me grown, because they know my beginning, and they will never trust me. They will never, no matter what God gives me to contribute to the struggle. Even people who know me in China, who are working with them in China, we have that thing that we need to overcome as a people. We have to overcome all this weakness. It's a big handicap. There are people who say that, I swear, this man, if you go outside, I will hold you down. All those type of attitude are real issues with us as a people. People will not be able to fall behind somebody who is a lay person. Some question even the question even General Ivor. How can they make him a general? He's what type of general? What type of military school have he gone to? So we have to learn that sometimes it is those indigenous things that are actually even much better when we are fighting for self-determination than the big PhD.
Subjectively, I be thinking that position been for Ayaba, or we be careful before Ayaba, because I be thinking if Ayaba be honest, humble, because there is no humility and wisdom when it comes to this revolution when Ayaba be concerned. If we take that position, because if you take that position, now Ayaba for the talk now. Because nobody knows if you go to prison. Nobody knows tomorrow. That's why do not underrate or underestimate somebody. Yes. But you see, because this honesty, it didn't say when a mind, when I start can bring this honesty over show power mongering, over saying na me I be the person when only me I get for talk. Na me I be the person when me I be to be the father of the revolution. Na only me I get for steer the revolution. It start coming.
So the one that the shortcoming they will get them. We'll still take things and play, excitement, social media. Me too, I be get that mindset. I be say, but why Ayabacho no be Minister of Defense for the IG who are own government would get them? And then the people they only resist, they only argue. I try to go closer to the ADF and the governing council at that moment and listen to them. And this is what they say. SCACUF was created by them. When I say them, it means all the constituent members of SCACUF. It was created by the nationalist movement plus the civil society of the consortium when they decided to choose the path, abandon federalism as a solution for separation. So they created the SCACUF. SCACUF was supposed to work for them. That means the Ayabacho, the Akwanga, the Bohebet, and all those institutions were the boss of Seseko. Seseko was filling the position of the Secretary General that was transformed. He was answerable to them. According to the founding document of SCACUF, they could not make certain fundamental decisions without consultation or approval from the constituent member, which also included some individuals that were recognized in that document. It is out there. So if una put a man say be una Secretary General, the man can transform himself, say be na chairman. And then he wants me you can serve under ye. Where they need to even consult with those institutions them. For then they see say there is a breach, there is a hijack of which way they don't create them or which way they be agree for create them. So for them that principle will be very important for them. Even if Ayabacho be say one can work under Sako like Minister of Defense or Vice Minister, therefore they establish an institution separate from what they had created without the authority of the people who created it. Then if you create SCACUF, then SCACUF can kick out the people the way they create them, establish your own self like a government, then expect those same people the way they be supposed to take authority from them for can work under them. For me at that moment, I be come out, I be talk say, why Ayabacho did over insist they must even respect that document. That document said now wait. I go for that, make the argument, I even make it publicly. But they tell me that okay, we are saying that La Republique did not respect agreement. We are fighting on those bases. Why should we think that we are competent or we can be effective to fight against an illegality by using another illegality? You cannot drive darkness with darkness. You must use light. We must follow the agreements we make. Any agreement we make, we must take it seriously. For them, these people, I was thinking they are just too strict and they are just too confused. They are not work. Until Seseko find himself in prison. And then my eye opened and said, well, if we were listening to these people, we would not be where we are right from the beginning. Because we have to always listen to people who have experience, who have a track record. We were there looking for alternative. People who will just do what we want, how we feel, will satisfy our own expectation, not knowing that our expectation and our demands have been shaped by 50 years living under a system that was systematically misinforming us, brainwashing us to be thinking the way we were thinking. Everybody was just covering up everything that was going on. Hey, they want to say that they have stolen money or anything, corruption. We just cover it up. Oh, cover up because we just want our treasure. If we just love Seseko enough, if all of us just come around him, it does not matter whether he knows what he is doing or not, or whether he's based on well-calculated theories or not, we will somehow have independence because all of us are together. I realized that it will not happen. Ayabacho had actually accepted in principle that he was willing to work under Seseko. He had accepted in principle. But the conditions to go back and respect the agreement of SCACUF was never accepted by those who supported Seseko like Milan. For them, that harsh enmity of challenge coming from this man who was supposed to be, who is just a man with no big name. He was not known by us anyway. Not that he was not known, because now we look at his biography, we see that he was there right from the beginning, from SDF to the All Anglophone Conference. He was always there.
Yeah, but Seko, when I called Seko, Johnny just come. There were people who were dormant, who were passive in this revolution. Myself, I've been supporting this revolution from time memorial.
For just set the record straight, Dr. Cho Ayaba have never called Seseko Johnny just come. Those outrageous statements were made by Ebenezer Akwanga, and I came after him. I was the one who released audios of his conversation in private chat group that were in my keeping. I came after Akwanga. I said it was wrong for you to call him Johnny Just Come. But anyway, now we have seen that he was actually Johnny Just Come. All of us were Johnny Just Come. It's not an insult when people want you to face reality. But the way Akwanga went about it was really, really not on content. But the Hague of C, right from the beginning, go and look at their presentation. They were very clear in their objection. They were objecting of the transformation of SCACUF into the governing council, or what was it called again, and the transformation into a government. They were very clear in their objection. They were participants in all the conclave, including the fourth conclave. The Hague of C was there to raise their objections. They had always been reasonable. They have always been engaged. It's just that the people don't want them to. The people want them to engage in their own way. Remember when the Siseko gave ultimatum? You joined my. He had a good conversation with Yabacho, and he went for his cabinet to release the information. They gave an ultimatum for the governing council. How can your own child, the IG is a child of the Hague of C and all the other nationalist movement, it is their child. How can a child wake up and he's trying to warn you or to talk to you like he's a father? Because he thinks that he have a wife and have children now. So he become a father, like their own father. We have to see things for what they are. Otherwise, we will be playing like a child that have covered his face with his hand and thinks that the war have disappeared around you.
Come up, make a voice, raise your voice, and just bring in some humility and some wisdom. Keep going. Now, what will happen when I blow up that area? This man go prison now. Problem, confusion start now. You now have to calm down yourself. You know, so you don't win. You don't take off the place. I believe that at one point, some of your people, they saw this opportunity. They look at it, a revolution, as a lucrative sector for make some gains or political gains. We are not saying get to be like that. That time we don't come for build a political platform. We begin for just sacrifice, focus on freeing our people. I don't want to talk much.
So this one are one of the misconceptions where people dedicate them, and I hear from a lot of people. Not only this guy, there's one very respectable Ambazonian activist also. I think it's Mr. Ojong. Let me look for his video and play an excerpt you hear.
If you are fighting a guerrilla warfare to liberate yourself, focus on liberation. Don't worry about who is going to be the ruler. Just like in the case of the Bible, God showed Moses the promised land. But he told Moses, you're not going to get there. So most of these people who are clamoring for leadership, clamoring for power, let them know that they're not going to get the power. I can already predict that for you. So I know it will be very, very disappointing to hear this, but all of them will not get the power they seek. Because the people will get the power. All these power mongers will not even get the power. That's going to be the biggest disappointment. I'm sorry, I'm saying it, but I'm a student of history. I'm a professor of history. I know how events shape themselves up in world affairs.
So this one, Prince Ojong also, he show to na activist. He talk very old power, big power. He talk about power mongering. People that fight for power, they don't want to get power. To be very fair, for you to change a country, you have to have power to do that. You have power through your institutions. You don't fight. Power is good for the use for liberation and to free our people. But power in itself, just looking for power's sake, is wrong. And we have to understand that even though for some of our people, when they see somebody is emerging, somebody is doing something prominent, exceptional, and it triggers their own primitive and inferior complex, and they start to say, hey, you want to become president, hey, you want to become power, you want to have power, everything for them they see. It is not necessary what you see is what the other person is thinking. Ayabacho is not interested in becoming president or looking for power's sake. He was voted by his organization. The ADF is not saying that he is the leader of the war of liberation because we want him to have all the power. It is just identifying how consequential he is in terms of our action of defense and our action in diplomacy. That is just the measure of the degree of influence he has, inspiring, providing weapons, guidance, and all those things. Even when it comes to the leadership, Ayabacho have actually said that the transition authority for the governing council, the person they put in front should be the vice president, not even him. On what basis would somebody think that Ayabacho is power monger? On what basis? This is somebody who went to New York, to America, and they donate money, and Sako and the other people were fighting over the money with Ekwanga. He abandoned that money, I think $20,000. They collect money in the governing council. His office raises huge sum of money and it does not even come through him. He have not come and said, let me take $1 in this money, like our people always have this mindset, and do something for himself like you see the other leaders have been doing. He does not even touch it. He is a donor. He is a major donor in the governing council. As a matter of fact, we borrow him money, his personal money. He has his own business. In no way, he's an employer. He employs people. So those who are perceiving that because somebody is standing on a position, or because somebody is becoming prominent, if somebody is rising, that means that the person wants power, the person is going to become now the leader. All those things are in your own mind. Those are all symptoms of La Republic's influence on our people. It is not reality. Who even cares? For many times we have said it that these our institutions are a vehicle only to lead us to Buea. I have no political ambition in this struggle other than to fight to see my people free. No matter how much we say it, no matter how many times we say it, to some people, all they see is this one is going to become power, this one is going to become minister, this one is going... They are more afraid of other people rising than they love the things, the effectiveness of those people to give the freedom. Ultimately, this is the type of mentality that keep people in hell. My grandmother once told me that the type of people who are in hell are the type of people you cannot help them. Because if Father Abraham throw a stick there to rescue them, they will not allow anybody to go out. You that is going up in front, they will drag you, say, why must you go be the first one? So they will be fighting for who to climb and who not to climb first. And at the end of the day, that stick will remain there. It will not save anybody. This mindset have to change. Stop seeing people being power mongers just because they are effective and they are having leadership qualities.
Approach way taken to put that alliance. It depends the approach. Charity begins at home. You go and go do alliance for outside internationally. Why not start for do alliance within your home? With your own brotherism. When they inside our own house, when I claim say when I want fight the common enemy, when I need to agree. You cannot pick up your phone and call Sako. You cannot pick up your phone and call Akwanga for you people to strategize. But you want to make an alliance for outside.
You have to understand something. The ability for any organization to have an alliance depends on how consequential that organization is. You cannot, if I create my own group today, my own organization, and I have Southern Cameroonians that come there to fight for a political objective, and I say I want to go and create a relationship with Israel, you cannot come and tell me I don't have the rights to do that. For Israel to be able to get into a alliance with me, it is a recognition of how they weigh me. It's like people who say that Abacho want to go and sell our oil to take money to come and fight war. For him to go and sell oil, for the oil company to even agree to sell that oil, it means that they are recognizing that he has the potential to keep his own side of the bargain. Any organization have that right to represent us and to engage. And all the other organizations have the right to their opinion or their objection of that alliance. But you don't have an exclusive right of doing so. So the governing council have consulted, have informed all the stakeholders. They have informed Seseko, they have informed his staff, they have informed all all those who are active in terms of intellect, our elites, stakeholders in this revolution. We are not talking of stakeholders that are fighting for federalism. They have not gone to seek the opinion of Frundi and all those type of things when people think that it is a democracy. No. All those who are clamoring for independence and are significant and are consequential have been consulted. You cannot go and consult Sako when you know that Sako have already taken concession for federalism. Sako is fighting now for federalism. We now know it even from a neutral source, the World Bank report. Forget about all the substantiation that are so many that everybody can see. Why should you consult Sako when Sako have banned you? Sako is asking for people to assassinate you. He's assassinating soldiers on the ground, instigating people to assassinate soldiers on the ground, discredit you. He's not fighting for independence. Look at all the letters Sako have sent outside. All the letter is not making a case for Ambazonia independence. He's making a case that he is the king. He is like the jungle king. That's what he spends his time doing. So why will you consult somebody who is an internal threat to your agenda of independence? And you know very well. the ability of the governing council to enter into alliance with the Biafran, the IPOD, is recognition of how influential the governing council is. How effective this alliance can be, it will depend on the ability of the governing council to lead the people into that alliance or into that mindset of an alliance. So if the egg of C is useless and is nothing, even if they go and sign alliance with Lucifer, it will not mean anything. If they sign it with God, it will not mean anything. The fact that it means something that can provoke Cameroon and Nigeria to sit down and think of what way to effectively fight them, even though they have been fighting them for so long, shows you how consequential they are and how powerful they are to accomplish any goal they set their mind for, the goal now being the goal for our independence. So, if we talk, say, we must go join with Sako, when we know, say Sako the work for federalism. There are evidence from the leaks from United States Senator's office, from leaks from documents from the EU and the UN, that even the Vice President of the Governing Council have publicly tell the Ambazonian people. We now have seen it in the World Bank. What else can somebody say? What else do you need? So a support for Sako is a support for federalist agenda, which is a ploy by La République. Even though they say that it's for federalism, but we know that La République do not really mean what they are selling to them. They just want to compromise them. If Sako succeed to gather enough support and become that influential, he will affect his political agenda, which is not for independence, it is for a compromise. So for those people who have withheld their support for the major leader, the main person who is most influential in all our activities for liberation, because they want to be satisfied, their own interest, their own type of mindset wants to be satisfied. Even if they were to satisfy their mindset, it will not work. Imagine if in the early stage we had forced the governing council to disintegrate, because that was what we were forcing him to do. We were saying that all the other group, the nationalist group who created Skakuf, should be dissolved and join the governing council and join the IG. If that had happened, where would we be? The arrest of Siseko would have killed the struggle. Even if they were to emerge within that structure of a government, it will not still be effective, because that structure had opened door for infiltrators. They have created and legitimized all type of criminal gangs on ground zero who can just come and say they are restoration forces. Do you know how many groups are under Sako command and control on ground zero? Do you know how many groups? There is just one, Phil Mashar. There is no group that listens to Sako. You can do a research and get the contradictory messages they come. He have just created a vacuum. That is all they wanted him to do. Create a government. Then they will fill the rest for you. Anybody can just come and say, I'm under the IG. I'm under the IG. Even Tanganji Pop can create his own IG group. We have seen that in Santa. We have seen that in Santa. The videos are there. He doesn't have a command and control on the ground. He does not have a structure. He does not have the competence and the capability of doing even diplomacy. He is now relying on an NGO that have been hired by Barry Corbett, our exploiter, the real people that are behind the French and Swiss intelligence services. Do you think Sako is capable of running anything? He could have had it. You can go and look at his track record to predict what he can do and what he's capable of doing. Judge him even by his record within this struggle. Judge everybody by their record within this struggle. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a real conversation with the feedbacks I've been having. It's out of script, and I hope the conversation continues. We should debate, and we should not consider debate as attacks. We should always welcome people who debate and challenge us and self-examine ourselves and admit when we are wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But don't dismiss legitimate issue that people have raised without addressing the content by just making broad statements and think that those contents will be addressed. It will come back to haunt us. God bless you all. Goodbye.